I was sitting in a cold hospital chair, holding my dying mother's hand, when my husband texted me that our marriage was over. The message glowed on my phone screen like a knife in the dark. "We are done." Another buzz. A photo of him on a white sand beach with a woman in a bikini, her arms wrapped around his neck. Then the confession that made my blood run cold. He had replaced my $1 million diamond necklace with a fake, sold what he thought was the real one, and taken the money to start a new life with his mistress in the Maldives. I stared at those words, my heart pounding, tears streaming down my face. Then I typed back 5 words: "Enjoy the sunshine." He had no idea that the necklace he sold was actually the replica I had made for insurance purposes 6 months ago. The real necklace, 4 generations of my family's legacy, was still safe in my mother's hidden vault. The fluorescent lights in the hospital room hummed their monotonous tune as I tried to process what had just happened. My mother, Helen, lay sleeping in the narrow bed, her chest rising and falling with shallow breaths. The chemotherapy had stolen her hair, her energy, her color, but not her spirit. She was 68 years old and fighting stage 3 lung cancer with everything she had. I had been in Ohio for 2 weeks, never leaving her side except to grab coffee or change clothes at her house. My phone felt heavy in my hand. I kept reading Derek's messages over and over, trying to make sense of the cruelty. We had been married for 7 years. 7 years that now felt like an elaborate con. I met him when I was 25, fresh off my first successful jewelry show in Manhattan. He was 30, charming, confident, working as a financial advisor at a boutique firm in Midtown. He swept me off my feet with fancy dinners, weekend trips to the Hamptons, and declarations that he had never met a woman as talented and beautiful as me. Back then, I was just starting to build my jewelry design business. My grandmother had left me her collection of antique pieces when she passed, and I had the idea to redesign them into modern luxury items. I spent 2 years learning the craft, working with master jewelers, understanding stones and metals and settings. My breakthrough came when a Broadway actress wore one of my pieces to the Tony Awards. Orders flooded in. Within 3 years, I had a studio in Soho, 5 employees, and clients who paid 6 figures for custom designs. The diamond necklace was my masterpiece. It started as loose stones passed down through 4 generations of women in my family. My great-great-grandmother brought them from Poland in 1907. My great-grandmother had them set into a traditional necklace. My grandmother wore it on her wedding day. My mother never felt it suited her style, so she kept it in a safe deposit box for 30 years. When she gave the stones to me, she said, "Make something beautiful, Florence. Make something that honors where we came from and celebrates where you're going." I spent 8 months designing it. A collar, style piece with 47 diamonds ranging from 1 carat to 5 carats, set in platinum with intricate filigree work that took 2 master craftsmen 3 months to complete. When it was finished, it was valued at $1 million. I wore it once, to a gala, and it photographed so beautifully that Vogue ran a full-page feature. After that, it became the signature piece of my collection. Not for sale, just for legacy. Derek always hated it. He called it my pretty rocks. He would make jokes at dinner parties about how I cared more about dead relatives' jewelry than I did about our future. When I tried to explain the history, the artistry, the meaning, he would wave his hand dismissively and change the subject. Over the past year, he became more distant. He claimed work stress. His firm was struggling, he said. He was up for a promotion, he said. He needed me to be patient and supportive. I was patient, I was supportive. I worked 70-hour weeks to keep my business thriving while he claimed to be working late nights. I paid most of our bills because his commissions were down. I believed him when he said he loved me, when he kissed me goodbye in the mornings, when he texted me throughout the day with heart emojis and inside jokes. What a fool I had been. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Derek. "I sold your precious necklace, got $850,000 for it, Enough to start my real life with someone who actually appreciates me. My hands shook. $850,000. He thought he had hit the jackpot. Another text. The replica I had made was perfect. You never even noticed. Been planning this for months. A fourth text. By the time you figure it out, I'll be untouchable here. Thanks for funding my freedom. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. I wanted to collapse on the floor and sob until I had no tears left. But I could not do any of those things because my mother was sleeping 3 feet away from me, fighting for her life, and she needed me to be strong. Instead, I took a slow breath and let my mind work through the timeline. 6 months ago, my studio had a break, an attempt. Nothing was stolen, but it scared me enough to get serious about insurance. My insurance agent recommended having a replica made of my most valuable pieces so I could keep the originals in a more secure location. I had a jeweler I trusted create a perfect cubic zirconia copy of the necklace, set in silver plating instead of platinum. It cost me $200. I brought the replica home to our penthouse in Manhattan and put it in my jewelry safe. I took the real necklace to my mother's house in Ohio and locked it in the hidden wall safe my father had installed in her bedroom closet before he died 10 years ago. Derek must have found the replica in my safe. He must have assumed it was real. He must have spent months planning this betrayal, having another copy made, switching them out, waiting for the perfect moment to disappear. The perfect moment. While I was states away, caring for my dying mother. My mother stirred in her bed. Her eyes fluttered open, cloudy from medication but still sharp enough to see right through me. "What's wrong, baby girl?" Her voice was hoarse, barely above a whisper. I tried to smile. "Nothing, Mom. Just work stuff." She gave me a look that said she knew I was lying. Even weak from chemo, my mother could read me like a book. "Tell me," she insisted. So I did. I showed her the texts. I told her about Derek, about the necklace, about the betrayal. She listened without interrupting, her thin hand gripping mine with surprising strength. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then a smile spread across her pale face. "Your father always said that boy was all polish, no substance. What are you going to do?" I had not thought that far ahead. The shock was still too fresh, too raw. "First," I said slowly, "I'm going to make sure you're comfortable and getting better. Then I'm going to make him wish he had never heard my name." My mother squeezed my hand. "That's my girl." After she fell back asleep, I walked down the sterile hallway to the family waiting area. I needed to see it with my own eyes. I needed to confirm that Derek had been stupid enough to steal a fake. I drove to my mother's house, a modest ranch-style home in a quiet suburb 40 minutes from the hospital. I had my own key. I let myself in, breathing in the familiar smell of lavender and old books. The house was exactly as I had left it that morning. Coffee cup in the sink, crossword puzzle half, finished on the kitchen table. I went to my mother's bedroom and opened her closet. Behind the winter coats, there was a small panel in the wall that looked like part of the woodwork. You had to know it was there to find it. I pressed the hidden latch. The panel swung open, revealing the digital safe my father had installed. I entered the code, my parents' wedding anniversary. 081131976. The safe clicked open. Inside, wrapped in soft velvet, was my necklace. The real one. I lifted it carefully, feeling its weight, the cool smoothness of genuine platinum, the way the diamonds caught the dim closet light and threw rainbow prisms across the walls. This was real. This was mine. This was 4 generations of strong women who had survived wars and immigration and poverty and loss. Derek had sold a fake. A replica of a replica. A $200 piece of costume jewelry. I started laughing. I could not help it. The absurdity of it all. The poetic justice. I laughed until tears ran down my face, until my stomach hurt, until I had to sit down on my mother's bedroom floor and catch my breath. When I finally composed myself, I carefully wrapped the necklace back in its velvet cloth and locked it away. I drove back to the hospital. My mother was awake, sipping water through a straw. "Well?" she asked. "It's there. It's safe. He sold a fake." My mother's laugh was weak, but genuine. "That's what he gets for being a thief and a fool." I pulled my chair close to her bed. "Mom, I need to ask you something. When did you know he was wrong for me?" She considered the question carefully. "About 6 months after the wedding, he made a comment at Thanksgiving dinner about how I was a burden on you. Said you were always running off to Ohio to babysit me. Your father, God rest his soul, would have thrown him out that day. I should have said something then. I'm sorry I didn't. You have nothing to apologize for. Neither do you, baby. He's the one who should be sorry. And something tells me he's going to be very, very sorry soon." She was right about that. 3 days later, my mother was stable enough for me to return to Manhattan. The doctors adjusted her medication, her color improved, and she was strong enough to argue with the nurses about the terrible hospital food. She insisted I go home, take care of my business, and stop hovering. I made her promise to call me twice a day and got her neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, to check on her once she was discharged. But I did not go home to the penthouse Derek and I shared in Tribeca. I could not face that space yet, could not walk through rooms where I had believed I was building a life with someone who actually loved me. Instead, I checked into a boutique hotel in the West Village and began the work of untangling my life from his. The first call was to our bank. I sat on the hotel bed with my laptop open and my phone on speaker, navigating automated menus until I finally reached a human being. I gave them my account information and asked for recent activity on our joint savings account. The representative was silent for a moment, then said, "Ma'am, this account was closed 4 days ago. The full balance of $73,412 was withdrawn in cash." My stomach dropped. $73,000. We had been saving for years. Part of it was my emergency fund from before the marriage. Part of it was supposed to be for a down payment on a house. All of it was gone. "Who closed it?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "The primary account holder, Derek Thompson. He came into our downtown branch with proper identification." "Can I see the withdrawal slip? Security footage?" "We can provide those with a subpoena, ma'am. For privacy reasons, I cannot release them otherwise." I thanked her and hung up. Then I called our credit card companies. 3 different cards, all of them maxed out with cash advances totaling $42,000. The advances had been taken out over the course of 2 weeks, small enough amounts to avoid triggering fraud alerts, large enough to add up to a devastating total. Derek had systematically drained us. He had planned this heist with precision, taking everything that was not nailed down. I called my lawyer next. Patricia was a fierce divorce attorney in her mid-50s who had handled the contracts for my business for 5 years. When I told her what happened, she was silent for exactly 3 seconds. "I'm going to destroy him," she said simply. "Come to my office tomorrow morning. Bring every document you have. Bank statements, marriage certificate, text messages, everything. We don't have a prenup. Even better. New York is an equitable distribution state. We're going to take him for everything he's worth. Which, based on what you just told me, is less than nothing." The next morning, I sat in Patricia's corner office overlooking Madison Avenue, surrounded by file folders and coffee cups. We went through everything: the timeline of the marriage, the growth of my business, Derek's income, which had always been inconsistent, the joint assets, the separate assets, his betrayal. Patricia made notes on a yellow legal pad, her pen moving in sharp, efficient strokes. "Here's what we know," she said finally. "He committed theft, fraud, and adultery. The theft and fraud are criminal. We can file charges. The adultery won't matter much in divorce proceedings because New York is a no-fault state. But the financial crimes? Those we can use." "What about the necklace?" I asked. Tell me exactly what happened. I explained the whole thing. The original, the insurance replica, Derek's theft and sale of what he thought was the original, the fact that he actually sold my fake. Patricia's eyes lit up. This is beautiful. This is poetic. But we need proof. We need to find out where he sold it, and for how much. Can you do some detective work? I'll try. Good. In the meantime, I'm filing divorce papers. But I'm not serving them yet. I want him to feel safe. I want him to think he got away with it. Let him spend his money. Let him relax. Then we hit him with everything at once. I left Patricia's office feeling, for the first time since the texts, like I had some control back. I was not just a victim. I was a woman with resources and intelligence, and a plan. The detective work started with a simple Google search. I looked up jewelry buyers in New York City who dealt in high-value pieces. There were dozens, but Derek was not sophisticated. He would have gone somewhere that gave him cash quickly, no questions asked. That narrowed it down to shadier operations, places with names like Quick Cash Jewelry and We Buy Gold and Diamonds. I made a list of 5 shops in Brooklyn and Queens. I dressed down in jeans and a plain sweater, hair in a ponytail, no makeup. I did not want to look like someone who owned $1 million necklace. I wanted to look like someone who might need to sell jewelry quietly. The first 3 shops were dead ends. The owners barely looked up from their phones when I walked in. The 4th shop, a cramped storefront in Bushwick with barred windows and a flickering neon sign, felt different. The owner, a man in his 60s with sharp eyes and nervous hands, watched me from the moment I entered. "Help you?" he asked. "I'm looking to sell some jewelry," I said. "A friend told me you give fair prices." "Depends on what you got." I had brought a simple gold bracelet, something I did not care about, to use as a prop. I set it on the counter. He examined it with a jeweler's loupe, then quoted me a price that was about half what it was worth. Standard for places like this. "That seems fair," I said. "Actually, I'm curious. My husband sold a necklace a few weeks ago. He said he got a great price. Do you remember him? Tall guy, brown hair, probably seemed really nervous." The owner stiffened slightly. "I see a lot of people. He would have been selling a diamond necklace. Said it was worth a lot. This was maybe 3 weeks ago?" He set down his loupe. "Why are you asking?" I made a decision in that moment. The truth, or at least a version of it, because he stole it from me, and I want to know what he got for it. He studied me for a long moment. Then he sighed. "Look, lady, I don't want trouble. But yeah, I remember your husband. Guy comes in here 3 weeks ago with this fancy necklace in a velvet box. Says it's a family heirloom, worth $1 million. I take one look, and I know it's fake. Cubic zirconia in silver plating. Worth maybe $50 retail. What did you pay him?" 20 grand. I must have looked shocked because he laughed, a bitter sound. "I know what you're thinking. Why pay $20,000 for a $50 necklace? Because the guy was so convinced it was real, I figured I could flip it to someone else as a convincing replica. Sell it to a costume jewelry wholesaler for 25, make an easy 5 grand, which is exactly what I did. Guy thought he was robbing me. I robbed him right back. Do you have any of this in writing? Security footage? Anything?" He hesitated. Then he pulled out a folder from under the counter. Inside was a buy sheet with Derek's signature, a photocopy of his driver's license, and a timestamp. "I keep records of everything. Cover my bases, you know." I had a feeling that necklace was going to come back and bite somebody. Just didn't know it would be him. "Can I get a copy of this?" "What's in it for me?" "Nothing. Except the satisfaction of knowing you helped take down a thief." He considered this. Then he made copies of everything and handed them to me. "For what it's worth," he said as I left, "your husband's an idiot. You seem like you got your head on straight. You'll land on your feet." I walked out of that shop with documentation that Derek had sold a fake necklace for $20,000, believing it was worth nearly $1 million. The math was brutal. He thought he had $850,000 from the necklace sale. He actually had $20,000. Add in the 70, $3,000 from our savings, and the 40, $2,000 from the credit cards, and he left the country with approximately $135,000. He was burning through it in the Maldives, living large, thinking he had almost $1 million waiting in some account. The reality was going to hit him like a freight train. I took the documentation to Patricia. She photocopied everything, added it to the growing file, and smiled a smile that made me glad she was on my side. "This just gets better and better," she said. "He committed fraud against a fence who committed fraud right back. It's beautiful, poetic, a criminal eating another criminal. What do we do now?" Now? We file the papers and we serve him. Not in person. We serve him digitally via email, which is legal in New York for cases of spousal abandonment. We hit him with divorce proceedings, asset division, alimony demands, and criminal charges for theft and fraud. We attach this documentation. We attach bank statements showing he drained your accounts. We attach his own text messages where he confesses to the crime. And then we watch him squirm. "Do it," I said. That night, Patricia filed the papers. She sent them to Derek's email with a read receipt request. At 9:30, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 11:30, 7 a.m. Maldives time, Derek opened the email. My phone rang 4 minutes later. Unknown number. International code. I almost did not answer, but curiosity won. "Hello? Florence. Florence. There's been a huge mistake." Derek's voice was panicked, breathless. "The jeweler scammed me. I need you to wire me money. Just $50,000 to hold us over until I can fix this. Please, I'm begging you. Amber is threatening to leave me here. I have nothing." I let him talk. I let him beg. I let him grovel and make promises and sob into the phone. When he finally ran out of words, I spoke. "You stole from me. You humiliated me. You abandoned me while my mother was dying. And you're surprised the universe is returning the favor? Florence, please. Enjoy the Maldives, Derek. I hear it's beautiful this time of year." I hung up. He called back 6 times. I never answered again. 2 weeks passed. 2 weeks where I threw myself into my work with an intensity that surprised even me. My studio became my sanctuary. I met with clients, sketched new designs, supervised production, and tried not to think about Derek living it up in paradise on stolen money. But I could not help myself. I checked his social media obsessively, watching his life unravel in real time through carefully curated photos that told a story he did not intend. The first few days, his posts were triumphant. Photos of turquoise water, white sand beaches, elaborate seafood dinners at 5-star restaurants, captions like, "Finally free and living my best life." Amber, the mistress, a 24-year-old, with long blonde hair and a taste for designer everything, posted even more frequently. Selfies with champagne glasses. Videos of their bungalow over the water. Close-ups of expensive meals with captions like, "This is what I deserve," and "Finally found a real man." But as the days went on, cracks started showing. A post from Derek about unexpected expenses with a forced-looking smile. A photo of Amber alone with the caption, "Some people don't know how to manage money." A blurry picture of them at dinner where, if you looked closely, you could see Amber's expression was cold, angry. My private investigator, a woman named Janet who specialized in international cases, sent me daily updates. Derek and Amber had been kicked out of 2 restaurants for arguing loudly. The resort manager had spoken to them about disturbing other guests. Derek's credit cards were being declined. He tried to wire himself money from an account that did not exist, probably assuming the necklace sale proceeds would be there. When the transfer failed, he had what Janet described as a complete meltdown in the hotel lobby. Meanwhile, my mother was getting stronger. She came home from the hospital and started outpatient treatment. Her hair was growing back in soft silver curls. She had gained back 8 pounds. When I visited her in Ohio, She wanted to hear every detail about Derek's downfall. "That boy is learning a hard lesson," she said, sitting in her favorite chair with a cup of tea. "You can't build a life on lies and theft. It all comes crashing down eventually." "I just wish it would crash faster," I admitted. "Patience, baby girl. The best revenge is watching someone destroy themselves. You don't even have to do anything. Just watch." She was right. Derek was destroying himself beautifully. On day 16, I got a call from our landlord. Not the jeweler, a different man named Harold Sullivan. Our landlord was a 60-year-old retired banker who owned a building in Tribeca and rented out the penthouse where Derek and I had lived. "Florence, I'm sorry to bother you, but we have a problem. The rent is 3 months overdue. That's $21,000. I've been trying to reach Derek for weeks. He told me you would handle it, but if I don't receive payment by the end of the month, I'll have to start eviction proceedings." 3 months overdue. Derek had stopped paying rent before he even left. He had been planning this for longer than I thought. "I'll take care of it," I told Harold. "Can I come by tomorrow to discuss the situation?" "Of course. I'm sorry, Florence. I know this must be difficult." The next day, I went to the penthouse for the first time since Derek abandoned me. I had not been back since leaving for Ohio to care for my mother. The doorman gave me a sympathetic look as he let me in. The elevator ride to the 14th floor felt endless. When I unlocked the door, I was hit by the smell of rotting food and stale air. The apartment was a disaster. Dirty dishes piled in the sink, takeout containers covering the coffee table, clothes strewn everywhere. It looked like Derek had stopped caring the moment he decided to leave. This place, which had once been beautiful, full of light and carefully chosen furniture, now looked like a crime scene. I walked through the rooms, seeing our life together with new eyes. The couch, where we used to watch movies. The dining table, where we hosted dinner parties. The bedroom, where I had believed we were building something real. It all felt hollow now, like a stage set for a play that had ended badly. In Derek's office, I found a file folder shoved in the back of a drawer. Inside were printed emails between Derek and someone named Craig Whitmore. I sat at Derek's desk and read through them, my stomach sinking with each page. The emails went back 8 months. Derek and Craig were planning to start a consulting firm in the Maldives. Craig was going to invest $200,000. They had spreadsheets projecting profits, plans for office space, client lists. It was all very official, looking, and completely delusional. The last email from Craig was dated 1 week before Derek left me. It read, "Can't do it, man. Wife found out about the offshore accounts. I'm getting audited by the IRS. I'm pulling out. You're on your own. Good luck." So Derek's grand plan was already falling apart before he even left. His business partner bailed. He was supposed to have $200,000 in seed money that never materialized. The necklace sale was meant to be his backup plan, his safety net. Except he sold a fake and got $20,000 instead of $850,000. The math was devastating. Derek thought he was escaping to paradise with over $1 million. In reality, he had $135,000 and no backup plan. He was hemorrhaging money on luxury hotels and expensive dinners, thinking he could afford it, while his actual funds drained away day by day. I took photos of all the emails with my phone. Evidence for Patricia. Then I called a cleaning service and had them deep clean the entire apartment. I could not live there anymore, but I also was not going to let Derek's mess define this space. I paid the back rent to Harold and asked him to change the locks. Derek's belongings went into a storage unit. I paid for 3 months up front. After that, if he wanted his stuff, he could figure it out himself. That night, I met Patricia at her office. She reviewed the emails, nodding slowly. "So his plan was already in shambles," she said. "He was desperate. The necklace theft was a last-ditch effort, and it failed spectacularly. Good. Desperate people make mistakes, and Derek is making plenty." She pulled out a stack of papers. "I'm ready to serve him. We have everything we need. Theft, fraud, adultery, abandonment. I'm filing for divorce with extreme prejudice. You get the business, the apartment, everything. He gets a bill for $166,000. 70, 3 from savings, 40, 2 from credit cards, 20, 1 in back rent, and 30 in legal fees. Plus, I'm recommending criminal charges. Do it, I said. Patricia sent the divorce papers via email with legal notification. Because Derek had abandoned me and left the country, digital service was valid under New York law. She also sent copies to his parents' address in New Jersey, his brother's apartment in Boston, and his last known workplace. The response was immediate and visceral. Derek called me 17 times in 2 hours. I did not answer. He left voicemails that progressed from angry to desperate to sobbing. You can't do this. I'm your husband. Please. I made a mistake. I'll pay you back. I'm going to be homeless here. Florence, please. I'm begging you. I listened to each voicemail once, saved them all as evidence, and never responded. Janet reported that Derek and Amber had a massive fight at their hotel. Amber found out Derek had lied about his money. She made a public Facebook post calling him a fraud and a liar, tagging him and several mutual friends. Within hours, she had blocked him on all social media, changed her relationship status to single, and posted photos of herself at the airport with the caption, "Going home. Lesson learned." Never trust a man who leaves his wife. Derek, according to Janet's surveillance photos, moved from the luxury resort to a budget hostel near the airport. In the photos, he looked haggard. Unshaven, wearing wrinkled clothes, eyes hollow. He posted one message on Facebook, "Stranded in paradise. Anyone who can help, please message me." 0 people responded. My mother called me that night. I saw his post. That boy is pathetic. I almost feel sorry for him, I admitted. Don't. He did this to himself. Every choice, every lie, every theft. He earned this karma. She was right. But watching someone self-destruct, even someone who hurt you, was harder than I expected. There was no joy in it. Just a hollow sadness for what could have been if he had been a better man. A week later, Patricia called with an update. He's coming back to the U.S. Found a way to borrow money from his brother. He lands at JFK tomorrow afternoon. I've arranged for him to be served with a restraining order the moment he steps off the plane. He's not allowed within 500 feet of you, your studio, or your mother's house. What happens next? Next, he tries to rebuild his life with nothing. We garnish his wages if he ever gets a job. We pursue criminal charges if you want. And you move on. I want the criminal charges. Done. The next evening, Janet sent me a photo. Derek at JFK, looking exhausted, being handed papers by a process server. His face in the photo was pure defeat. No anger, no fight, just emptiness. I looked at that photo for a long time. This was the man I had loved. The man I had built a life with. The man who threw it all away for a younger woman and stolen money. And now he had nothing. No wife. No mistress. No money. No home. Part of me wanted to feel vindicated, but mostly I just felt tired. That night, I received a certified letter at my hotel. It was from Amber. Inside was a handwritten note on hotel stationery. Florence, I'm so sorry for what I did. Derek told me you were separated and abusive. He showed me fake bank statements. I believed him. By the time I realized he was lying, we were in the Maldives and I was stuck with no way home. He tried to sell my jewelry to pay for his hotel when his money ran out. I had to call my parents to wire me money for a flight. I just wanted you to know that he did this to other women before you. His ex-wife, Angela, reached out to me on Instagram after she saw my posts. She said he did the exact same thing to her. Took her money, lied, left. I should have listened to her warning. I hope you destroy him. He deserves everything that's coming. Again, I'm truly sorry. Attached to the note were screenshots. Messages from a woman named Angela Porter. In the messages, Angela detailed her marriage to Derek 8 years ago, before I met him. He had convinced her to invest her inheritance, $40,000, into a business opportunity. Then he drained their joint accounts and disappeared. She never got her money back. She spent 6 years recovering financially. Derek was not just a bad husband, he was a pattern, a predator, and I was not his first victim. I forwarded everything to Patricia. "This changes things," she said. "We can show a pattern of fraud and theft. If Angela is willing to testify, we can make sure he faces serious consequences. And Florence? You should reach out to Angela. You two might have a lot to talk about." I stared at Angela's messages for a long time. Then I made a decision. I was not going to let Derek take anything else from me. Not my peace, not my trust in people, not my future. I was going to fight back, and I was going to win. Derek's world collapsed, faster than I imagined possible. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched from a distance as every lie he had built came crashing down around him. Patricia filed criminal charges for fraud, theft, and embezzlement. The district attorney, interested in the pattern of behavior Angela had documented, agreed to prosecute. Derek was officially a wanted man. Janet sent me daily surveillance reports. Derek landed in New York with borrowed money and no place to go. His parents, retired school teachers in New Jersey, refused to let him stay after learning what he had done. His brother, a high school guidance counselor in Boston, let him sleep on his couch for 3 nights before kicking him out after Derek tried to steal his credit card. Derek ended up in a motel in Queens, the kind that rents rooms by the week and does not ask questions. Janet's photos showed him looking worse each day. He had lost weight, his clothes hung off his frame, and he had a defeated slouch that made him look 20 years older. His social media was a wasteland. He posted desperate messages asking for help, for money, for a job, for anything. People who used to be his friends ignored him. Some commented with variations of, "You made your bed, and karma is real." His final post before deleting all his accounts was simply, "I'm sorry. Too little, too late." Meanwhile, my life was transforming in ways I never expected. My mother's cancer went into remission. The doctors called it remarkable. Helen called it stubbornness. "That cancer picked the wrong woman to mess with," she said, laughing, sitting in her living room with color in her cheeks and strength in her voice. My jewelry business exploded. The Vogue feature had generated interest, but the real breakthrough came when a journalist wrote a human interest piece about my story. Not the Derek part, I kept that private, but the story of 4 generations of women, immigration, survival, and transformation through art. The article included photos of my necklace and talked about my design philosophy, honoring the past while creating for the future. Orders flooded in. Celebrities wanted custom pieces. Museums asked about exhibitions. I had to hire 5 new employees and lease additional studio space in Soho. My assistant, Emma, a talented 26-year-old, recent design school graduate, took over much of the day operations so I could focus on creating. One afternoon, I received a call from Dr. Michael Harrison, a curator at a prestigious private museum in Philadelphia. He had seen the article and was interested in my work. "I'm organizing a traveling exhibition called American Heirloom Jewelry and the Women Who Preserve Them," he explained. "It would showcase pieces that have been passed down through generations, redesigned by contemporary artists. Your necklace would be perfect as the centerpiece." "I'm not interested in selling it," I said immediately. "I'm not asking you to sell. I'm asking for a 2-year licensing agreement. The necklace would travel to 8 major museums across the country. You would retain ownership. We would provide full security, insurance, and compensation for the license." "How much compensation?" $2 million. I nearly dropped the phone. "Say that again? $2 million for a 2-year license. Plus, Your story would be featured in the exhibition materials. It would be incredible exposure for your business. I thought about my great-great-grandmother carrying those loose diamonds across the Atlantic, sewing them into the hem of her skirt to keep them safe. I thought about my great-grandmother wearing them on her wedding day in a New York tenement. I thought about my grandmother keeping them safe through the Depression. I thought about my mother trusting me to honor their legacy. Yes, I said. Let's do it. The contract was signed within a week. $2 million deposited into my account. The exhibition was scheduled to open in 6 months. My business was valued at 3 times what it had been a year ago. I moved out of the hotel and into a beautiful 2-bedroom apartment in the West Village, with huge windows and a studio space where I could work. My mother moved to Manhattan to be closer to me. We found her a charming bedroom in my building. We had dinner together 3 times a week. She started volunteering at a community center, teaching senior citizens how to use computers. She was healthy and happy and more vibrant than I had seen her in years. You know what the best part of surviving cancer is? She asked me one night over pasta at a neighborhood Italian place. What? Realizing that everything you worried about before was nonsense. Life is short. Spend it with people who love you. Do work that matters. Don't waste time on people who don't deserve you. I raised my wine glass. I'll drink to that. Through all of this, Derek kept calling. I changed my number twice, but he found it. He left voicemails, he sent emails, he even showed up at my old penthouse before realizing I no longer lived there. The restraining order kept him at a distance, but he tested the boundaries constantly. Patricia filed a motion to have him held in contempt. He's violating the order. We can have him arrested. Do it, I said. I was done being nice, done being understanding, done feeling sorry for someone who had shown me no mercy. Derek was arrested outside my studio. He had been standing across the street for 2 hours, watching the entrance, when police picked him up. He spent 3 days in jail before his brother bailed him out. The judge increased the restraining order distance to 1,000 feet and warned Derek that any further violations would result in serious jail time. Janet reported that Derek had gotten a job at a car dealership in Newark. He was selling used cars, making $42,000 a year. Patricia immediately filed for wage garnishment. 25% of his paycheck, before taxes, would go directly to me as restitution for the money he stole. He'll be paying you for the next 15 years, Patricia said with satisfaction. Every paycheck he'll see your name. Every month he'll remember what he did. Good, I said, and I meant it. But something still bothered me. I could not shake the feeling that I was not done, that there was more to this story. So I called Patricia and asked her to find Angela Porter, Derek's ex-wife. It took 3 days, but Patricia located her. Angela was 38, living in Brooklyn, working as a middle school art teacher. She had remarried 5 years ago to a man named James, a firefighter. They had a 2-year-old daughter. I reached out via email, explaining who I was and asking if she would be willing to meet. She responded within an hour. Yes, I have so much to tell you. We met at a coffee shop in Park Slope on a Saturday morning. Angela was petite with dark curly hair and warm brown eyes. She looked kind, tired, but kind. Thank you for meeting me, I said. Thank you for reaching out. When I saw Amber's posts about Derek, I knew I had to warn her. But by then, she was already in the Maldives with him. I felt terrible. Tell me what happened with you. Angela took a deep breath and told me her story. She met Derek when she was 29. He was 26, charming, ambitious, working in sales. They dated for a year, got married quickly. 6 months into the marriage, her father died and left her $40,000. Derek convinced me to invest it in a business venture. A friend of his was starting a tech company. It was going to make us rich. I was grieving, not thinking clearly. I gave him the money. Let me guess, I said. There was no tech company. There was a tech company, but Derek's friend never received the money. Derek took it and disappeared. Cleaned out our bank accounts, took my car, left me with nothing. I was devastated. I spent 6 years paying off the debt he left behind. Credit cards, loans, everything. Did you ever get your money back? Not a penny. He declared bankruptcy. I couldn't get blood from a stone. I made a decision in that moment. I reached into my bag, pulled out my checkbook, and wrote a check for $67,000. $40,000 for her inheritance, plus $27,000 in interest, calculated at 5% over 11 years. I slid the check across the table. Angela stared at it. What is this? It's what he stole from you. Plus interest. Florence, I can't accept this. Yes, you can. Derek stole from both of us. I have the resources to make it right. You don't owe me anything. This is just one woman helping another. Angela started crying. Why would you do this? Because we're not his victims anymore. We're survivors, and survivors help each other. She took the check with shaking hands. I don't know how to thank you. Use it for your daughter. Build something good out of something terrible. We talked for 2 hours. About Derek, about healing, about moving forward. When we parted, we hugged like old friends. Because in a way, we were, bound by shared experience and mutual survival. That night, I could not sleep. I kept thinking about Angela, about Amber, about how many other women might be out there. How many other victims of Derek's pattern. An idea formed, small at first, then growing. The next morning, I called Patricia. I want to start a foundation for women who have been financially abused by partners, legal aid, financial counseling, emergency funds, everything I wish I had known when Derek left. Patricia was quiet for a moment. That's a beautiful idea. And tax deductible. I'll help you set it up. Within 2 months, the Florence Foundation was operational. My mother helped me run it. We started small, just us and 2 volunteers. Our first client was a woman named Maria, whose husband had stolen her business and left her with 3 kids and no income. We paid for her lawyer, helped her file charges, and got her business back. Within 6 months, we had helped 43 women. We operated out of a small office in my building. Donations came in from people who read about our work. Some donations were $10. Some were $10,000. Every penny went to helping women rebuild their lives. One afternoon, Patricia called. Derek sent you a letter. It came to my office. Do you want me to open it? Read it to me. She did. It was short. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I know what I did was unforgivable. But I need you to know, I'm sorry. I was selfish and cruel. You deserved better. I hope someday you can find peace. I've lost everything, and I know it's my own fault. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I listened. Felt nothing. Throw it away. You sure? I'm sure. He doesn't get my energy anymore. I'm done. And I was. Truly done. Derek was a chapter of my life that was closed. I had new chapters to write. But the universe was not done with Derek yet. 3 months after Derek's letter, Patricia called me with news that made my blood run cold. The insurance investigator flagged something, she said. Derek took out a life insurance policy on you 3 years ago, $500,000. He's listed as the sole beneficiary. My hands went numb. What? He's been making payments on it the entire time, even while he was planning to leave. Even after he left, the investigator found it while auditing his finances for the divorce. Why would he do that? Florence, I need to ask you something serious. Did you ever feel unsafe around Derek? Did he ever threaten you, hurt you, anything that made you think he might harm you? The implications hit me like a freight train. Derek had been paying for a life insurance policy that would pay out if I died, while he was stealing from me, while he was planning to abandon me. Oh my God, I whispered. We don't know if he ever intended to act on it, but it's a massive red flag. The investigator is referring this to the police. They're going to interview him. What if the necklace sale had worked? What if he had actually gotten $850,000? Would he have come back? Patricia was silent for a moment. I don't know, but I think you're asking the right question. The thought haunted me for days. Would Derek have killed me if his plan had worked? Was I still alive because his scheme failed? Or was I reading too much into it? The uncertainty was worse than knowing. The police interviewed Derek. He claimed the insurance policy was just standard financial planning and that he never meant anything by it. But the detective told me privately that they were keeping the case open. Too many red flags. The theft, the abandonment, the pattern with Angela, the policy. I moved through my days feeling like I was underwater. I went to work. I met with clients. I ran the foundation. But part of me was stuck in the question, how close had I come to something much worse than betrayal? My mother noticed. You're somewhere else, baby girl. Talk to me. I told her about the insurance policy. She listened, her face growing dark. That boy is evil, she said flatly. Not just selfish, evil. Thank God his plan fell apart. Thank God you moved the necklace. You saved your own life without even knowing it. I keep thinking about all the things that had to go right for me to survive this. If I hadn't made the replica, if I hadn't moved the real necklace, if his jeweler friend had been better at spotting fakes. Any one of those things goes differently. And don't do that to yourself. You're alive. You're safe. That's what matters. But I could not let it go. I needed closure. Real closure. I needed to face Derek one more time and ask him the question that kept me up at night. I called Patricia. I want to meet with him. One time. Supervised. Public place. You present. Are you sure? I need to look him in the eye and ask him what he planned to do. She arranged it. A coffee shop in Midtown. Neutral territory. Patricia would be there. A plainclothes detective would be nearby, just in case. Derek agreed immediately, probably thinking I was going to drop the charges or forgive him. The meeting was set for 3 o'clock on a Tuesday. I arrived early, took a seat in the back corner where I could see the door. Patricia sat beside me, her legal pad open, pen ready. Derek walked in at exactly 3 o'clock. He looked terrible. Thinner, older, defeated. His suit was cheap and ill-fitting. His shoes were scuffed. He had the demeanor of a man who had lost everything and knew it. He sat down across from us, tried to smile, failed. Florence, thank you for agreeing to meet me. I did not return the greeting. You have 30 minutes. Start talking. He clasped his hands on the table. I know I hurt you. I know I destroyed everything. I just want a chance to explain. Explain what? How you stole from me. How you abandoned me. How you've been doing this to women for years. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Derek took a shaky breath. I was drowning. Financially, emotionally. My business was falling apart. I felt like a failure next to you. You were so successful, so talented. I felt like I was disappearing. So you decided to steal from me? I made terrible choices. I know that. Amber, she made me feel important. Like I mattered. And the money, I thought if I could just get enough together, I could start over somewhere new and finally be successful on my own terms. And the life insurance policy? I asked quietly. Derek went pale. That was nothing. Just financial planning. You took out a $500,000 policy on me without telling me. You paid it faithfully while you were planning to leave. What was the plan, Derek? If you had gotten the money from the necklace, what were you going to do? I don't know what you're implying. Patricia leaned forward. Let me be clear, Mr. Thompson. The police have been notified. They're investigating. If you ever had any intention of harming Florence, now would be the time to come clean. It might be the only thing that saves you from an attempted murder charge. Derek's hands shook. I never would have hurt her. I swear. The policy was just insurance. I thought maybe if something happened naturally I'd have money, but I never would have done anything. I stared at him, trying to see truth in his eyes. All I saw was a broken man, scrambling for any excuse that might save him. I don't believe you, I said finally. I think you're capable of anything when money is involved. I think if your plan had worked, if you had gotten the money you thought you were getting, you would have found a way to come back here and make sure that policy paid out. No, Florence, no. I'm a thief. I'm a liar. But I'm not a murderer. Maybe not. But only because your plan failed before you had the chance. Derek started crying, actual tears running down his face. Please. I know I don't deserve anything from you, but please don't think I'm that kind of monster. What kind of monster are you, Derek? He wiped his eyes, the pathetic kind. The kind who throws away the best thing in his life because he's too much of a coward to just be honest. I loved you, Florence. In my own broken, selfish way, I did love you. No, I said. You loved what I could give you. Money, status, a life you couldn't build yourself. You never loved me. You loved what I represented. Patricia slid papers across the table. Sign these. Uncontested divorce. You walk away with nothing. You keep making your restitution payments. The criminal charges stand. But we don't pursue the insurance policy investigation further. Take the deal, Mr. Thompson. It's the only one you're going to get. Derek looked at the papers. His hands trembled as he picked up the pen. What if I say no? Then we go to trial. We bring Angela. We bring the insurance investigator. We bring every piece of evidence we have that shows you're a con artist and a predator. You'll do serious prison time. Your choice. Derek signed. Every page, every line. When he finished, he looked up at me. For what it's worth, I am sorry. I stood up. It's worth nothing. I walked out of that coffee shop and did not look back. Patricia followed, closing her briefcase with a satisfied click. That's done, she said. How do you feel? Empty, I admitted, but free. Outside, the city buzzed with life. People rushing to meetings, laughing with friends, living their lives. I took a deep breath of cold November air and felt, for the first time in months, like I could breathe fully. My phone buzzed. A text from Dr. Harrison, the museum curator. Exhibition opening moved up. 3 months instead of 6. Can you make the opening in Philadelphia next month? I texted back. Absolutely. Patricia hailed a cab. Dinner? My treat. We should celebrate. Rain check. I need to go see my mom. I took the subway downtown, walked to my building, took the elevator to my mother's floor. I knocked on her door. She answered in her favorite sweater, reading glasses perched on her nose, a book in her hand. Baby girl. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I just needed to see you. She pulled me into a hug. You faced him, didn't you? How did you know? Because you have that look. Like you just set down something heavy you've been carrying for too long. We sat on her couch, drinking tea, watching the sun set over Manhattan. My mother held my hand. I'm proud of you, she said. For what? For surviving. For fighting back. For not letting him break you. I leaned my head on her shoulder. I had a good teacher. Damn right you did. We laughed. And in that moment, I realized something. Derek had tried to take everything from me. My money, my security, maybe even my life. But he failed. Because the things that mattered most, the things that made me who I was, were things he could never touch. 4 generations of strong women. A legacy built on survival. A spirit that refused to break. That was real. That was mine. And no one could ever steal it. 3 months later, my life had transformed so completely that sometimes I barely recognized myself. The museum exhibition was a stunning success. Standing in the Philadelphia Museum of Art, watching hundreds of people admire my necklace under carefully positioned lights, I felt a profound sense of completion. The placard beside it told our story. 4 generations of women. Survival, transformation, art. My mother stood beside me, healthy and radiant in a deep blue dress, her silver hair styled elegantly. "Your great-great-grandmother would be so proud," she whispered. The exhibition would travel for 2 years. 8 cities, millions of viewers. My business exploded beyond anything I had imagined. I hired 10 new employees, opened a flagship store in Soho, got featured in every major fashion magazine. Celebrities commissioned pieces. My designs were worn on red carpets around the world. But the work that mattered most was the Florence Foundation. In 6 months, we had helped 63 women. Some needed legal aid, some needed emergency housing, some just needed someone to believe them. We provided all of it. One afternoon, I was working in my office when my assistant Emma knocked on the door. "Someone's here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment, but she says it's important." A young woman stood in the waiting area. Mid-20s, nervous eyes, clutching a purse like it was a life raft. She looked up when I approached. "Are you Florence?" "I am." "My name is Julia. I heard about your foundation. I need help. My husband emptied our bank account and left with another woman. He took everything. I have a 6-month-old baby and no money for rent." I didn't know where else to go. I sat down beside her. "You came to the right place. Tell me everything." We spent 2 hours together. I learned about Julia's husband, about his lies, about how he had isolated her from friends and family. By the time she left, we had set her up with an emergency fund, a lawyer, and a financial counselor. She cried when she thanked me. "You saved my life," she said. "No," I replied. "You saved your own life by asking for help. I'm just here to make sure you have what you need to rebuild." Stories like Julia's became my purpose. Every woman we helped, every life we changed, felt like a piece of healing. Not just for them, for me too. One Saturday morning, I met Angela for coffee. It had become a monthly tradition. She brought photos of her daughter, Sophia, who was 2.5 now. Bright eyes, curly hair, pure joy. "I've been thinking," Angela said, "about starting a support group for women who've been through what we went through. Would the foundation sponsor it?" "Absolutely. When do we start?" "Next month." "Perfect." The support group launched with 8 women. Within 3 months, we had 50 members. They met weekly, sharing stories, supporting each other, healing together. Angela ran it with grace and wisdom. She had turned her pain into purpose, just like I had. Derek's restitution payments arrived like clockwork every month. $712, 25% of his gross salary. Patricia had arranged for automatic deposit. I never saw the checks. The money went directly into the foundation account. "He's paying for his redemption," my mother said one night over dinner. $1 at a time. "Do you think redemption is possible for someone like him?" She considered the question carefully. "I think people can change, but they have to want to. Derek strikes me as someone who's only sorry he got caught." She was probably right. I had not heard from Derek in months. No calls, no letters, no violations of the restraining order. He had become a ghost in my life. Sometimes I wondered what he was doing, if he was okay, if he ever thought about what he had destroyed. But mostly, I did not think about him at all. In December, I received an invitation to speak at a women's leadership conference in Boston. The theme was "Turning Pain into Power." I almost declined. Public speaking terrified me. But Emma convinced me to accept. "Your story matters," she said. "People need to hear it." The conference was held in a massive hotel ballroom. 300 women attended. I stood backstage, my hands shaking, wondering what I had gotten myself into. Then I heard the moderator introduce me. A jewelry designer, philanthropist, and survivor who turned betrayal into a mission to help others. I walked onto that stage, looked at 300 faces looking back at me. took a deep breath. 7 months ago, I began. My husband stole from me and disappeared to paradise with his mistress. He thought he had taken everything: my money, my security, my trust. What he didn't realize was that he couldn't take the things that actually mattered: my strength, my resilience, my purpose. I told them the whole story. Not the life insurance part, that still felt too raw, but everything else: the necklace, the betrayal, the discovery, the fight back, the foundation. When I finished, the room erupted in applause. Women stood. Some were crying. After my speech, dozens of women lined up to talk to me, to share their own stories, to thank me for speaking their truth. One woman, probably in her 60s, gripped my hand tightly. My husband did something similar 30 years ago. I never talked about it, never got help. I just buried it and moved on. Thank you for showing women they don't have to suffer in silence. Driving back to New York that night, I felt a profound sense of peace. Derek had tried to destroy me. Instead, he had revealed what I was capable of becoming. But there was still one more piece of unfinished business. A week before Christmas, I received a call from Detective Sarah Walsh, the officer who had investigated the insurance policy. Florence, I wanted to give you an update. We closed the investigation into Derek Thompson. We don't have enough evidence to prove intent to harm. He's not going to face charges related to the life insurance policy. I felt a strange mix of relief and disappointment. So that's it? That's it. But I want you to know, we'll be watching him. If he ever tries anything like this again with anyone, we'll be ready. Thank you, Detective. One more thing. Your foundation? My sister went through something similar last year. Your organization helped her when no one else would. So thank you for what you're doing. After we hung up, I sat in my office for a long time, thinking, Derek would not face consequences for the insurance policy. He would pay restitution for 15 years, but beyond that, he was free. Free to move on, free to rebuild. Part of me wanted more justice, wanted him to suffer as I had suffered. But another part of me realized that the best revenge was not his suffering. It was my happiness, my success, my impact on the world. Derek was stuck in a mediocre life, haunted by his choices, paying for his crimes one paycheck at a time. I was free, thriving, making a difference. That was justice enough. On Christmas Eve, my mother and I hosted dinner at my apartment. 20 people came: Angela and her family, Emma and her boyfriend, women from the foundation, people who had become my chosen family. We ate too much food, drank wine, laughed until our sides hurt. At one point, I looked around the room and felt overwhelmed with gratitude. These people, this life, this second chance at happiness. My mother caught my eye across the room and smiled. She knew what I was thinking. We had both survived impossible things: cancer, betrayal, loss, and we had come out stronger. Later that night, after everyone left, my mother and I sat on my couch, looking at the Christmas tree lights, comfortable in the silence. You know what I realized? I said. What's that, baby girl? Derek did me a favor. If he hadn't betrayed me, I would have stayed in that marriage, stayed comfortable, never pushed myself to grow, never started the foundation, never became this version of myself. That's a very generous way of looking at it. I'm not saying I'm grateful for the pain, but I am grateful for who I became because of it. My mother kissed my forehead. That's wisdom, sweetheart. That's what survival looks like when you let it teach you instead of break you. We sat there until midnight, watching the snow fall outside, knowing that whatever came next, we would face it together. Strong women, 4 generations and counting. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I stood in my mother's living room in Ohio, the hidden, safe open, the real diamond necklace in my hands. The exhibition had just ended its final stop in Los Angeles. Tomorrow, I would take it back to New York and place it in a museum, grade safe in my studio. But tonight, I wanted one more moment with it here, where my father had kept it secure, where my mother had trusted me with it, where everything had changed. My mother appeared in the doorway, healthy and vibrant, her hair fully grown back in soft silver waves. She was 70 now, but you would never know it from the energy she radiated. "Are you going to wear it to the gala next week?" she asked. The gala was our first major fundraising event for the Florence Foundation. We had rented a beautiful venue in Manhattan. 200 guests confirmed. Press coverage arranged. It would be our coming out moment as a serious organization. "I think I will," I said. "It's time to stop hiding it away. It's time to let it shine. Your grandmother would be so proud. 4 generations of strong women. We don't break easy." I fastened the necklace around my neck, feeling its familiar weight, its presence. In the mirror, I saw not just myself, but all the women who came before me. Survivors, fighters. Women who carried diamonds across oceans, who wore them through depressions, who kept them safe through divorces and cancer and betrayal. The gala was spectacular. The venue glowed with soft lighting and elegant decorations. Women arrived in beautiful dresses, men in suits, everyone excited to support our cause. Angela was there with her husband James and their daughter. Julia, the young mother we had helped, came with her baby. Women we had assisted through the foundation filled the room, their presence a testament to survival and resilience. I wore the necklace. It caught the light with every movement, stunning and unmistakable. People asked about it all night. I told them the truth. It's a family heirloom. 4 generations. Someone once tried to steal it from me. They failed. Midway through the evening, I noticed someone unexpected near the entrance. Amber, Derek's former mistress. She looked different from her social media photos. More mature, less flashy. She approached me nervously. "I know I'm probably the last person you want to see," she began. I tensed, but something in her expression made me wait. "I came to apologize in person, and to donate." She handed me an envelope. Inside was a check for $5,000. "It's everything I saved from my job. I want to help other women not make my mistakes." I stared at the check, then at her. "Why?" "Because I was young and stupid. I believed a liar. You didn't deserve what we did to you. I'm in therapy now. Trying to be better. Trying to make amends." I took a deep breath. Holding on to anger would not serve me. I accepted the check and, after a moment, hugged her. "We're all trying to be better. Thank you for having the courage to come here." She smiled through tears. "Thank you for giving me the chance." Across the room, I saw Marcus, the museum curator who had first proposed the exhibition. He raised his glass to me. Beside him, my assistant Emma laughed with a group of donors. My mother held court near the dessert table, charming everyone with stories. And then I saw someone I had started dating 3 months ago. His name was Thomas, a history professor at Columbia, 43 years old, kind and thoughtful. He had met me at a gallery opening, asked about my work, listened when I talked. We had been taking things slowly. He did not try to fix me or rush me. He just showed up, consistently and honestly. He caught my eye and smiled. That simple, genuine smile that made me feel seen. By the end of the night, we had raised $418,000, enough to help over 150 women. I gave a speech thanking everyone, talking about the foundation's mission, sharing stories of transformation and hope. "I started this foundation because someone I trusted tried to take everything from me," I said. "My money, my legacy, my dignity. He failed. Not because I'm special, but because I refuse to be a victim. Every woman here tonight who's been hurt, betrayed, or stolen from, I want you to know, you are not alone, you are not broken, and you are not finished. We rise. We rebuild. And we help each other rise too." The standing ovation lasted 3 minutes. 2 weeks later, something unexpected happened. I ran into Derek at a grocery store in Manhattan, Complete coincidence. He was visiting his brother in the city. We made eye contact across the produce section. He looked away immediately, shame written across his face. I could have walked away. Should have walked away. But something made me approach him. Derek. He barely met my eyes. Florence. You look good. I heard about your foundation. That's amazing. I'm not going to pretend I've forgiven you. I haven't. Maybe I never will. But I want you to know something. He waited, uncertain. You taking that necklace was the best thing you ever did for me, because it showed me who you really were. And it showed me who I really am. I'm not the woman who needs a man to complete her. I'm complete on my own. Derek's eyes filled with tears. I know I destroyed the best thing I ever had. No? You freed me to become the best thing I could be. I walked away, leaving him standing there. It was the last time I ever saw him. That night, I sat in my studio, the diamond necklace resting on black velvet under soft light. I was designing a new collection called Legacy. Each piece would incorporate a small diamond from the necklace, creating jewelry that told stories of survival and strength. I thought about my journey, from betrayed wife to successful business owner to advocate for other women. Every step had been hard. Every day had required courage. But I had done it. People will try to take from you your money, your peace, your power. Sometimes it's strangers. Sometimes it's the people you love most. But here's what I learned. What they take is only what you allow them to have. My husband tried to steal my legacy. Instead, he gave me a purpose. He tried to break me. Instead, he revealed my strength. The necklace he sold was fake, but the life I built after he left? That's real. Every diamond, every relationship, every moment of peace. I earned all of it. Not by being perfect. Not by never falling, but by getting back up. By choosing myself. By refusing to let betrayal be the end of my story. It was just the beginning. If you're going through something similar, I want you to know, you will survive this. You will rebuild. And one day, you'll wear your own diamonds and remember that the person who tried to steal from you only succeeded in showing you how much you were always worth. The real treasure isn't what we own. It's who we become when we refuse to be defeated. I locked up my studio. The city lights twinkled outside my windows. My phone buzzed with a text from Thomas asking about dinner tomorrow. Another text from my mother. Proud of you, baby girl. A third text from Angela. The foundation just helped my niece. Thank you for existing. I smiled. Not just surviving anymore, thriving. And I built it all myself, with real diamonds and real strength. Nobody can take that away. Now, I want to ask you something. Have you ever had someone betray your trust in a way that completely changed your life? How did you find the strength to move forward? I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories and realize they're not alone. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel for more stories about resilience, survival, and transformation. Share this with someone who might need to hear it today. Someone who's going through their own battle and needs to know that they will come out stronger on the other side. Thank you so much for listening to my story. Thank you for being part of this community of survivors and fighters. Remember, no matter what you're facing right now, you have the strength to overcome it. The diamonds in your life might be tested, but they'll shine brighter because of it. Stay strong, stay brave, and never let anyone dim your light.